you can't answer the question. Why are some people saved and some people not saved? You know, you cannot answer the question. Do you know why you can't answer the question? It's impossible to answer the question, and it's a fool's quest to try and answer the question. Do you know why? Because any answer to the question as to why some people are saved and some people are not, any answer to that question destroys free will and therefore philosophy and virtue. You follow? The moment you say, well, my brother is the way he is, or my sister is the way he is, or because, no free will. Boom, done, you're done. There's no free will anymore. My mother is the way she is because she was brought up in the war. No, because lots of people brought up in the war didn't end up like my mother. My mother is the way that she was because she was very beautiful, therefore it was easier for her to manipulate men and not take responsibility. My mother is... No. No. My mother is the way that she is because free will. Because of her choices. Because of her choices. That's all. That's all. That's responsibility. Don't give people the excuse of history. Don't give people the excuse of history. Don't give people the excuse of history. They chose. Now, if they have brain tumor, they've got a railway spike through their forehead, whatever it is. History does not dominate the future. History does not dictate the future. There's free will. We have choice. It just feels so tragic. His enthusiasm was broken down as a child by a father, and I think he just decided not to ever recover it. Oh, Michelle, be very careful about singing the sad song of elegy over people who are in a position to manipulate you. No, because, thought we're going to end the show, but it's too important. It's too important. We'll stay. His enthusiasm was broken down as a child by our father. Ah, well, but what about your father? Your father, his enthusiasm was broken down by his father, and it goes all the way back to the primordial fucking soup. No. I'm sad. Are you sad for your father because your father's enthusiasm was broken down? Do you have sadness and pity for your father? Or is that how it works? Is that how it works? Everybody gets, oh, so you're mad at your father, but you have sympathy for your brother. Well, your father had his broken blah, 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 right? The person you're most angry at for not taking responsibility is the exact level of anger you should have for everyone who's not taking responsibility. My brother doesn't have kids to victimize. Ah, so it's the kid's fault that your father was aggressive. It's his kid's fault. It's the fault of having kids. It's because the kids were there that your father was aggressive. Is that right? So kids are what takes away your father's responsibility to be a good person. Like kids are just this irresistible temptation that just summons evil in people like some demonic possession they can't control. Well, I have kids. Oh, I have a kid. Am I bullying anyone? Nope. So, Michelle, my good friend, massive respect. No dominoes. Well, the father has more responsibility to recover his enthusiasm. You're trying to think the unthinkable. You're trying to think what will never occur, what will never be understood, what will never be explained. You will never know these answers. A, free will, and B, you'll never be told the truth. You'll never be told the truth. Don't think about things that can't be answered. I mean, I assume you don't sit there and say, gosh, how many atoms of O2 are in the room at the moment, right? How many cells did I kill when I scratched the tip of my nose? These are questions without answers. You understand, one of the great strictness of philosophy is stop trying to answer things that can't be answered. Pfft, that's boundaries. Boundaries. Where things are impossible, you stop. That was Gerard earlier. I couldn't get through to him. I couldn't get honesty out of him. I couldn't manage the conversation. I couldn't control the live stream that way. It became impossible. So boundaries are between you and what's impossible. And it is impossible to get answers as to why people fuck up. free will, and they'll lie to you anyway. They'll lie to you anyway. Was it possible for me with Gerard to get to the truth and root of why he behaves the way he behaves? Was it possible for me to do that, having conversed with him off and on for months? It was impossible. It was impossible. So what did I do? Boundaries are where things are no longer possible. Like triage. Can't save this person, move on. So we think boundaries are always just about, intrusive people. No. Boundaries are around intrusive thoughts. Why is my mother the way she is? Why is my family member the way? Why this? Why? No. Can't be answered. Won't be answered. Impossible knowledge. Impossible knowledge. How much time should I give him, though? He's the same age I was when I started therapy. Michelle, how much time should I give him, though? What did I just say about unanswerable questions? What is the objective, rational, philosophical, empirical answer to that question? These questions that can't be answered are just a form of paralysis. But I will tell you this. If you don't hold him responsible for what he's doing, there's no point trying to help him. If you don't hold your brother responsible for what he's doing, there's no point trying to help him. If you give him excuses called history, if you give him excuses called father crushed your dreams, you don't have kids, if you give him those excuses, every excuse is a noose. Excuse, noose. They rhyme. Every excuse is a noose. Right? Give people 100% responsibility for their own choices and behaviors. 100%. I mean, once they're adults, right? Oh, but he had it hard as a kid. I don't care. Because if you give him an excuse, what will he do? You give him an excuse. Well, there's a reason why you are the way you are, and it can't be changed. Can you change your childhood? You cannot. I can't change one thing about my childhood. You give people an excuse, you're drugging them. You're a dealer. You're not a helper. You're a drug dealer. You're a remover of empowerment, of choice, of self-ownership. You are a drugger. And you're drugging your own anxiety by paralyzing your brother. Your brother complains. You choose to be there. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear your complaints. I don't want to hear your complaints. You choose to be there. You choose to be there. What's more empowering? What's going to get him to change? Giving him excuses or responsibility? Hey, you're there to help if he wants to change, but I'm not listening to any excuses. I'm not listening to any excuses. Well, what did good friend Gerard give earlier in this live stream? Just excuses. Well, we're all drawn to beauty, and men care about sex, and all adults talk about is sex, and right, excuses, right? You got to, and this look, Michelle, as a woman, you have my absolute deep and full respect for your empathy. Absolute deep and full respect for your empathy. Do you know who your empathy is designed for? Is it designed for your brother? Why did you evolve this beautiful empathy, this massive caring to help people, to improve people? What is it designed for? Babies. That's right. It's designed for your babies because you have influence, power, control, and definition of your babies. Right? Don't take that which is designed for infants and toddlers and little children and apply it to adults. Children have excuses, absolutely. Children don't have free will, much, absolutely. Children are not responsible for their environment, absolutely. Don't treat adults like children, or you are wrecking them deep down. You want to give your brother an excuse. Why? Why do you, I know it is hard to switch it off. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is with great sympathy and also great respect for the caring that you're showing. Why do you want to give your brother excuses? When I had a baby, I instantly lost all interest in politics. Right. Right. Why do you want to give your brother excuses? Why do you want to give your brother excuses? I know why. But it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. No, it's your parents who want you to feed him excuses so that he stays with them. Your parents are using you as the mule to deliver the drugs to your brother so he stays with them. You fence in your brother with your parents based upon their preferences and requests. You're serving their needs by roping them in to stay with them, by delivering him the excuses that strip him of self-ownership. You are delivering enslavement through your parents to your brother. And again, with no ill intent and with the best of intentions, but to me, that's the mechanic. I could be wrong. And if it doesn't feel right or it doesn't hit you in the truth bullseye, let me know. Anthony, please try not to fight with other people while we're having an important conversation. Try and focus on the person who's trying to learn something. It's not about you. If you want to make it about you, run your own show. Michelle, does this make any sense? And again, I say this with great sympathy and affection and respect. I mean, you've had sympathy. You've had sympathy for your brother for as long as you've had, therapy or adulthood, whatever it is, right? You've had sympathy for your brother for years and years and years. And you've also given him excuses to some degree for years and years and years. It hasn't worked. Now, you say you haven't spoken to your brother in over a year, but you made it clear that you're available to talk when he wants to. All right? But it's not your outer brother I'm concerned about. It's your inner brother and the principle there too. Your inner brother, you have spoken to continually over the many years you've known him, right? You think about him, you're concerned about him, you worry about him, and you try to puzzle out why his life is the way it is, right? And again, that's great caring, and it's a beautiful thing in many ways. Yes, my inner brother is a mess who I have a bleeding heart for. Yes. I did a show recently, answered a question on my brother's keeper. A friend of mine had someone in his family. She had a job very briefly when she was younger, and then just spent decade after decade on welfare. And then when an elderly relative died, she inherited a fair amount of money, blew it all on useless mail order crap that just stuck up in her rent-controlled apartment. And then she died. Nobody noticed for quite some time. Eventually, the smell tipped people off. Nobody found any use for all the junk she'd burned up her relative's inheritance buying, and it was all just thrown out, and then she was just buried. Why did she live such a useless life? Why did she? Why? Will these questions ever be answered? The answer is the empiricism of their lives. The why doesn't matter. The did. Why did she do this? The why doesn't matter. The did is all that matters, because we're empiricists. And we can't make up answers for people, and we can't be in hot pursuit of knowledge that would undo us. Listen, Michelle, you want to have pride at having gotten out of a bad family situation and being a good parent. You want to have pride in that, which means it's your will, your choice. they're trying to lure you back into a place where the bad things you're not responsible for, right? Your parents modeled, well, you kids are driving us crazy, and you had this even with your brother. Oh, my brother was the one who, in a way, drove my dad mad and all of that. So they kind of lure you back into this place of no responsibility. No. My mother was 100% responsible for what she did. Everyone in my family, everyone, friends, all 100% responsible for what they did. Why did they? Like, people say to me, "Oh, why didn't people support you more when you were deplatformed?" I don't know. I don't know. And why would I try and figure that out? Why? Why? Because that would be to say that there's some reason why people do things. No, they made a choice. They went for whatever they preferred rather than supporting me. Why? There's no why. That's free will. That's personal responsibility. That's choice. And let's say that for some reason I found myself obsessed and wanted to get a question from person ABC or whatever who was close to me or cared, and then totally abandoned. Let's say I found that person and asked them why. Would I expect them to tell me the truth? No. I wish I could block the intrusive why thoughts myself. No, I get it. But that's boundaries, man. That's the little bit of it. It's just self-discipline. Can I answer this question? And if I were able to answer this question, what would it mean? If you could answer why someone did something, you would destroy free will, moral responsibility, philosophy, virtue, love, integrity. All of it would be gone. What is the cost of why do people do things? Everything. Everything. You can't have pride. You can't be loved. You can't be happy. It's a fucking luring you to a hole with no bottom. It is nihilism. The why do people do things is just total fucking nihilism. There's nothing in there. It's just trying to draw you away from happiness and pride and virtue and self-ownership. But why? Why splits you in two. There is no explanation. Ah, yes, but Steph, people who are abused tend to be more abusive. No. Oh, but somebody who was beaten is more likely to beat their children. Yes, do you know why? Because they use the being beaten as an excuse. Why do they beat their kids more if they've been beaten? Because they say, well, my parents beat me because they had bad childhoods. Well, I had a bad childhood, therefore you've just given yourself permission to beat your kids. Done. Done. Nothing more complicated. Reasons are excuses, are abuses, are nooses. There's no why. There's no why. There's the mysterious alchemy of choice, which we will never hear the truth about from bad people. Because we generally say, why do people do bad things? Well, if people do bad things, they'll lie to you. I was beaten as a kid. I would never hurt a kid like I was back in the day. Right. And I would assume, Sam, that's because, and I'm sorry to hear about your childhood, of course, but I assume that's because you don't give excuses to your parents for beating you. I'm getting confused. Recently on a stream, you said that you should not judge people for what they do without asking why, because that's a lack of curiosity. Yeah. Of course you can ask why. Of course you can ask why, and they might, I say, well, why do you think you do this, or what's your motivation, or what's your, I'm looking for causality, absolutely, for sure. For sure. But have you ever seen me give someone moral excuse? If somebody's beaten their child, have I ever said, well, you were beaten as a child, so you're not responsible? No. So you can ask. I asked Gerald today, well, why do you think you're doing this? Or why do you think you didn't listen? Or what? Can you repeat back to me what I said? I'm asking these questions for sure. You can ask people why they think what they think their motivations are for sure. Yeah. But you don't give them excuses based upon that causality. Would you forgive your mother if she asked for it and meant it? Well, Sam, you don't need to ask me that question because you're a person who thinks, and I assume you've listened to this show for a while. What would be required to forgive my mother? Yeah, that's right, Manuel. Restitution, apologies, restitution, and a clear methodology by which it's not going to happen again. Right? Apologies, restitution, and a clear methodology by which it's not going to happen again. You've heard those things, right? All right. Also, just by the by, it's probably better if it... No, she doesn't email me. It's probably better in general if you don't wait until you're dying, right? Because if you wait to apologize to someone until you're dying, what are they going to think? Just out of curiosity, what are they going to think is your motivation for apologizing to them when you're dying? Oh, your conscience, I got to clean things up. I'm afraid of going to hell. Whatever, right? It's still about them, right? It's still about them. And also they might want resources. They might not know that they're dying. They might just think that they're sick, in which case they're going to apologize to you so you can take care of them. So you also, in general, don't want highly suspicious things, right? You don't want highly suspicious circumstances as to why somebody might be apologizing to you. Does that make sense?